We may as well be taking shits back here. Follow!
Welcome to Let's Watch TV. Thank you for clicking on the video. All right, so it's been a minute since I sat down and did this. So for those who didn't see my post, the reason why I haven't dropped a video in a while is I got into a car accident. Now, thankfully, no life-threatening injuries, right? But I did tear my leg up pretty good. So after about 4, maybe 5 months of rehab and recovery, I just kind of didn't really have the motivation to get back behind the camera. Now, here we are 9 months later, and I'm ready to get back at it. Don't ask me why. But anyways, I did feel kind of bad about not posting, mainly because I had a contest going at the end of Game of Thrones, asking you guys to name my 5 favorite characters, recorded the video announcing the winner and everything, and just never posted it. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's check it out. So real quick, I'm just going to give my opinion on the show as a whole. I'm also going to announce the winner to the little contest I put out a few episodes ago. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, I definitely enjoyed the show. And I'm not even the type of person that likes knights and kings and basically old time stuff. So the fact that I was fully invested means that the show was good. Now, what I gather from the comment section is that most people kind of split the show into 2 halves. You have the first 4 to 5 seasons, and then you got the last 3 seasons. Most people think the first 4 to 5 seasons are great, and the last 3 maybe either not so great or just flat out terrible. Now, it's crazy because I agree with everyone's opinion, and I'll explain. So the first 4 to 5 seasons definitely have a different tone than the last. No question about it. It's like darker, more intense. The conversations are just far more interesting, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I'm sure that has to do with the writing. You guys have heard that a million times, I'm sure. But yes, in the first 4 to 5 seasons, you were always at the edge of your seat. You didn't really know what was going to happen. Anybody could damn die. But more importantly, everything just was a lot more interesting. Now, the last 3 seasons, I don't know, the tone definitely shifted. I don't know if it's because they ran out of source material or who knows what the reason is, but things got a little, I don't want to say silly. A lot of the characters just kind of, I don't know, they were far more interesting and intelligent in the first half of the show. And in the later seasons started making some of the dumbest choices and just overall stupid things like Tyrion and Jon, you know what I mean? But despite that, I still found the last 3 seasons to be extremely good, mainly because, okay, so honestly, it is because of the first 4 to 5 seasons. They were so good and laid such a great foundation that I was so interested in hearing how the story ended that the last 3 seasons, although they have their flaws, they still were excellent because it was finishing off a story that I had become fully invested in. So I know that's like a backhanded compliment to the last 3 seasons because if you take them by themselves, I don't know if they would be that great, if that makes any sense. But the fact that they're connected to the first half of the show makes them, I would like to say a better word than watchable, but it definitely makes them watchable. And then season 8, although it was bad as far as how the story like rushed together and wrapped up and everything, it still was excellent because of things like the long night, that episode, and just finally getting some closure to this story. But yes, in those last few seasons, some of my favorite characters just started really getting on my nerves. And the number 1 person on that list is Jon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just couldn't take this dude towards the end of the season. And you know what the messed up part about that is? Jon's in my top 5. Spoiler alert, Jon's one of my top 5 favorite characters. But I'm just going to tell you, I made this list after episode 3, season 8. If I would have made this list at the end of the series, I'm almost positive Jon does not make it. But speaking of my top 5, let's go ahead and get into that. So you already got one, that's Jon. He's actually going to be number 3 on the list. I got him in order, but you guys didn't have to put him in order for the contest. I just want you to understand who my actual favorite is, right? Okay, so number 1, hands down, wasn't even really that close, Arya. I mean, listen, Arya is the only day one character that never got on my nerves. I mean, sure, you have characters like Sir Davos and Pod, even Brienne. For the most part, they never got on my nerves, but they weren't there from the very beginning. You have little Arya that we watched grow up, and then for her to come full circle and take out the Night King. I heard that some people had a problem with her taking out the Night King. I'm not sure why. I thought it was glorious. You know what I mean? So Arya, number one, hands down. Number two, Tyrion. Listen, it hurts my soul because Tyrion was my favorite character for at least 6 seasons. But again, like I said earlier, them last 3 seasons, man, I don't know, what did he actually do? I mean, what did Tyrion actually do for Dany? Not a damn thing. And when he sold out Varys, that was the last straw. That was Arya had already overtaken him for the most part anyway, but that was the final nail in the coffin. And then, like I said, number 3 was Jon. Listen, Jon was, up until this last season, Jon was the man. I mean, his story is probably the single most interesting story of the entire show when you really think about it. I mean, he starts off as a bastard, goes on to the Night's Watch, becomes the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Then you find out he's not a bastard, he's a Targaryen, and he's the true heir to the Iron Throne. The fact that they kind of fumbled his character in the last few seasons, I mean, obviously it hurt him in my eyes as far as being one of my favorite characters. They definitely could have did better with his ending. And then my 4th character. Now, I'm going to save this character for the end, and I'll tell you why in a second. We go skip to my 5th character. So there were a few people that were going to take my last spot. Sir Davos, Bronn, and the Hound. And like I said before, if I would have made this list at the end of the show, then 2 of these people would be in the top 5, and Jon's ass will be somewhere sitting his ass down. But I'm going to go with my original list. Sir Davos, listen, and as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, damn, I can't believe I don't have Sir Davos in my top 5. Sir Davos was absolutely one of my favorite characters. If I was the king of the 7 or 6 kingdoms, whatever the hell it is, Sir Davos would be my hand. He seemed to have the most common sense out of anybody in the show. And then you combine that with his ability to just smooth things over. That's why he was a good smuggler, because anytime he got into a situation, he could talk his way out of it. You know what I'm saying? That's what Tyrion used to be good at. But in the later seasons, it was Sir Davos. Anytime somebody, Jon, needed defending, who was there to step up and start making people understand, yes, Sir Davos is one of my favorite characters, even though he didn't make the top 5. Then you have Bronn. Bronn, throughout the show, was one of my favorite characters. And the reason for that is I can relate the most to Bronn. Like, if I was in this world, I think I would be most like Bronn. Because one thing for sure, I damn sure wouldn't be highborn. And I damn sure wouldn't be living at the gutter of Flea Bottom. So the only way I would have been able to make something of myself is to use my physical gifts. Whooping ass. Which is what Bronn did. And he took it to the next level. See, it seemed like he may have sold out Jaime and Tyrion at the end, but I don't believe so. I believe he was just negotiating to get a better deal, and it worked. And what he said to them was so true. He says, how do you think your forefathers became lords? They killed a bunch of people, and that's exactly right. So guess what he did? He didn't have to kill a bunch of people. He finagled his way into becoming the Lord of Highgarden. So now, guess what? 200 years from now, his great-great-great-great-grandchildren will be lords. And no one will have cared how they got there. And that's why I always love Bronn for things like that. Because I feel like that's the only way I would have been able to become something in this particular world. But nevertheless, it didn't make the top 5 because the Hound. The Hound story, was definitely one of my favorites of the show. And the crazy part about it is when he died died in season, what was that, 4 or 5? I felt nothing. It meant nothing. Part of it was because I didn't see him die. So I kind of always had in the back of my head, like he might end up coming back somehow or whatever. So it didn't really hit me that hard. Well, when he died at the end of episode, whatever the hell it was, season 8, Yeah, yeah. That touched my soul. And that made me realize how much I like this dude. You know what I'm saying? Because him and Arya, their time on screen together, I mean, it was just the most entertaining duo of the entire show. And if you ask me who's my favorite character from the final, what, 3 or 4 seasons, it's probably the Hound. Maybe Arya, but then it's probably Hound number 2. That's how much I like the dude. I mean, the way he flipped around from a bad guy to being one of the better good guys in the show and also a realist. Like he used to think in a way that, again, I would think using logic instead of just blind loyalty. I can always appreciate that. So the Hound did make my top 5. Now, let's get back to number 4. So my 4th character is funny because, all right, so I had about 50, maybe 60 answers. I shouldn't say no one. One person put this character in the top 5. I mean, forget about number 4 or whatever. No one even put him in the top 5 except one person. And that made me think my top 5 was stupid because honestly, the whole first day, nobody got the answer right. I think it was day number 2 or 3 that finally somebody put the correct top 5 in because I was about to be like, damn, I guess, you know what I'm saying? I guess it was too difficult of a question. So this contest played out exactly how I wanted it to play out. So, all right, a few seasons back, I was going to be done with Game of Thrones. The whole Theon storyline and Ramsay, that was just too much for me. I was just not interested in that. So I felt like that was going to just dampen my whole excitement for the show as a whole, right? So I decided I wasn't going to watch it anymore. Well, I had somebody jump in the comment section. I had a few people jump in the comment section. Now, one of the first comments I got was from someone saying that they were, a little disappointed that I wasn't going to finish the show and, they had enjoyed watching it and yada, yada, yada. And, they end up calling me a quitter. And I promise you, so that was kind of the spark that made me decide to continue the show. Because, I mean, I didn't really think anyone cared. That comment made me rethink continuing the show. And then, of course, I eventually did, right? Fast forward a couple of seasons, and that same commenter jumps back in the comment section and, says, hey, listen, man, I appreciate you. I'm glad you kept going, yada, yada, yada. Because at first they had said they were never going to watch me again. And they were like, I'm still watching and, glad to see you back. And I'm like, yeah, that's what's up, man. I appreciate that. I remember you for sure. Glad to see that you stuck with me, right? Boom. What do you know that this is the person to get the answer right? The only person out of all 50 or 60 answers, this is the one person that got it right. And I couldn't be more happy because that's what it was about. Somebody that was there from day one. And this was somebody that actually cared about me watching the show wins the contest. All because they were the only person to put Jaime in the top 5. Jaime, I can't believe, again, it's not about picking the correct top 5 and even in the correct order. No one even put Jaime in any of their top 5s or their guesses for the top 5s. Jaime's story, I mean, it is by far one of the most interesting. With him ending season 1 as one of my most hated characters, and then fast forward to it didn't even take him that long to become one of my favorite characters, but definitely by the end of the show, for sure, one of my favorite characters. And it all started to turn around when he got taken prisoner by Lady Stark. There were a couple of conversations that he had with her that made me start to think I kind of like this dude. Like his thinking is, again, I like the people that think logically. Now, granted, later on in the show, he does stupid things, I guess, in the name of love for Cersei. But in that moment with him and Lady Stark, I started to like him. And then that conversation with Brienne where he was explaining the whole Kingslayer story. I mean, that basically solidified him as someone I liked. And then his personality from that point on, I liked him. And I can't believe that nobody else put him in the top 5. Was Jaime not a favorite character of you all's? I mean, I don't know, but there you have it. Arya, number 1, Tyrion, number 2, Jon, number 3, Jaime, number 4, Hound, number 5. That's the list. And you know who you are. Michael Brewer, NY. My man. Congrats, man. I appreciate you, bro. Listen, I'm actually glad you won. I'm going to hit you up in the comment section. We'll work it out. But yeah, man, that's a wrap for Game of Thrones. And like I said earlier, it became one of my top 5 favorite shows. And again, I understand all the flaws that it had. If you put everything together as a whole, it's up there, man. It was a good show. I was thoroughly entertained. I'm glad I watched it. And all I'm hoping is that House of Dragon is at least half as good as Game of Thrones was. So make sure y'all be on the lookout for that. Check me out next time. Peace.